HarperCollins presents Railway Series, Volume 2, by the Reverend W. Awdry, read by Bruce Alexander. Gordon the Big Engine. Dear Ian, you asked for a book about Gordon. Here it is. Gordon has been naughty, and the Fat Controller was stern with him. Gordon has now learned his lesson and is a really useful engine again. The author. Off the Rails. Gordon was resting in a siding. Beep, 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 beep. Hello, fat face, whistled Henry. What cheek, spluttered Gordon. That Henry is too big for his wheels. Fancy speaking to me like that. Me, he went on, letting off steam. Me, who has never had an accident. Aren't jammed whistles and burst safety valves accidents? Asked Percy, innocently. No, indeed, said Gordon huffily. High spirits might happen to any engine, but to come off the rails, well, I ask you, is it right? Is it decent? A few days later, it was Henry's turn to take the express. Gordon watched him getting ready. Be careful, Henry, he said. You're not pulling the flying kipper now. Mind you keep on the rails today. Henry snorted away. Gordon yawned and went to sleep. But he didn't sleep long. Wake up, Gordon, said his driver. A special train's coming, and we're to pull it. Gordon opened his eyes. Is it coaches or trucks? Trucks, said his driver. Trucks, said Gordon crossly. Pah! They lit Gordon's fire and oiled him, ready for the run. The fire was sulky and wouldn't burn, but they couldn't wait, so Edward pushed him to the turntable to get him facing the right way. I won't go, grumbled Gordon. Don't be silly, puffed Edward. Gordon tried hard, but he couldn't stop himself being moved. At last he was on the turntable. Edward was uncoupled and backed away, and Gordon's driver and fireman jumped down to turn him round. The movement had shaken Gordon's fire. It was now burning nicely and making steam. Gordon was cross and didn't care what he did. He waited till the table was halfway round. I'll show them, he hissed, and moved slowly forward. He only meant to go a little way, just far enough to jam the table and stop it turning, as he had done once before, but he couldn't stop himself, and slithering down the embankment, he settled in a ditch. Oosh! He hissed as his wheels churned the mud. Get me out! Not a hope, said his driver and fireman. You're stuck, you silly great engine. Don't you understand that? They telephoned the Fat Controller. So, Gordon didn't want to take the special and ran into a ditch, he answered from his office. What's that you say? The special's waiting. Tell Edward to take it, please. And Gordon? Oh, leave him where he is. We haven't time to bother with him now. A family of toads croaked crossly at Gordon as he lay in the mud. On the other side of the ditch, some little boys were chattering. Coo, doesn't he look silly? They'll never get him out. They began to sing. Silly old Gordon fell in a ditch, fell in a ditch, silly old Gordon fell in a ditch, all on a Monday morning. The school bell rang, and still singing, they chased down the road. Pshaw, said Gordon, and blew away 3 tadpoles and an inquisitive newt. Gordon lay in the ditch all day. Oh dear, he thought, I shall never get out. But that evening they brought floodlights, and then with powerful jacks they lifted Gordon and made a road of sleepers under his wheels to keep him from the mud. Strong wire ropes were fastened to his back end, and James and Henry, pulling hard, at last managed to bring him to the rails. Late that night Gordon crawled home, a sadder and a wiser engine. Leaves. 2 men were cleaning Gordon. "Mind my eye," Gordon grumbled. "Shut it, silly. Did you ever see such mud, Bert?" "No, I never, Alf. You ought to be ashamed, Gordon, giving us extra work." The hosing and scrubbing stopped. Gordon opened one eye, but shut it quickly. "Wake up, Gordon," said the fat controller sternly, "and listen to me. You will pull no more coaches till you are a really useful engine." So Gordon had to spend his time pulling trucks. Goods trains, he muttered. He felt his position deeply. "That's for you, and you, and you," Gordon said crossly. "Oh, oh, oh, oh," screamed the trucks as he shunted them about the yard. "Trucks will be trucks," James said, watching him. "They won't with me," snorted Gordon. "I'll teach them. Go on." And another truck scurried away. "They tried to push me down the hill this morning," Gordon explained. "It's slippery there. You'll probably need some help." "I don't need help on hills," said James huffily. Gordon laughed and got ready for his next train. James went away to take the express. "Slippery hills indeed," he snorted. "I don't need help. Come on, he puffed. "All in good time," grumbled the coaches. The train was soon running nicely, but a distant signal checked them close to Gordon's Hill. Gordon's Hill used to be bleak and bare. Strong winds from the sea made it hard to climb. Trees were planted to give shelter, and in summer the trains run through a leafy avenue. Now autumn had come, and dead leaves fell. The wind usually puffed them away, but today rain made them heavy, and they did not move. The home signal showed clear, and James began to go faster. He started to climb the hill. I'll do it, he puffed confidently. Halfway up he was not so sure. I must do it, he panted desperately, but try as he would, his wheels slipped on the leaves, and he couldn't pull the train at all. What's the matter? He gasped. "Steady, old boy, steady," soothed his driver. His fireman put sand on the rails to help him grip, but James's wheels spun so fast that they only ground the sand and leaves to slippery mud, making things worse than before. The train slowly stopped. Then, "Help! Help! Help!" whistled James, for though his wheels were turning forwards, the heavy coaches pulled him backwards, and the whole train started to slip down the hill. His driver shut off steam and carefully put on the brakes and skilfully stopped the train. "Phew!" He sat down and mopped his face. "I've never known that happen before." "I have," said the fireman, "in Bincombe Tunnel, Southern Region." The guard poked his head in the cab. "Now what?" he asked. "Back to the station," said the fireman, taking charge, "and send for a banker." So the guard warned the signalman, and they brought the train safely down. But Gordon, who had followed with the goods train, saw what had happened. Gordon left his trucks and crossed over to James. "I thought you could climb hills," he chuckled. James didn't answer. He had no steam. "Ah, well, we live and learn," said Gordon. "We live and learn. Never mind, little James," he went on kindly. "I'm going to push behind. Whistle when you're ready." James waited till he had plenty of steam. Then, "Beep, beep," he called. "Boop, boop, boop." "Pull hard," puffed Gordon. "We'll do it," puffed James. "Pull hard, we'll do it." The engines puffed together. Clouds of smoke and steam towered from the snorting engines as they struggled up the hill. "We can do it," puffed James. "We will do it," puffed Gordon. The greasy rails sometimes made Gordon's wheels slip, but he never gave up, and presently they reached the top. We've done it, they puffed. Gordon stopped. "Boop, boop," he whistled. "Goodbye." Beep, 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 beep. Thank you. Goodbye, answered James. Gordon watched the coaches wistfully till they were out of sight. Then slowly he trundled back to his waiting trucks. Down the mine. One day Thomas was at the junction when Gordon shuffled in with some trucks. "Poof!" remarked Thomas. "What a funny smell! Can you smell a smell?" "I can't smell a smell," said Annie and Clarabel. "A funny, musty sort of smell," said Thomas. "No one noticed it till you did," grunted Gordon. "It must be yours." "Annie, Clarabel, do you know what I think it is?" whispered Thomas loudly. "It's ditch water." Gordon snorted, but before he could answer, Thomas puffed quickly away. Annie and Clarabel could hardly believe their ears. "He's dreadfully rude. I feel quite ashamed. He's dreadfully rude," they twittered to each other. "You mustn't be rude. You make us ashamed," they kept telling Thomas. But Thomas didn't care a bit. That was funny, he chuckled. He felt very pleased with himself. Annie and Clarabel were deeply shocked. They had a great respect for Gordon, the big engine. Thomas left the coaches at a station and went to a mine for some trucks. Long ago, miners digging for lead had made tunnels under the ground. Though strong enough to hold up trucks, their roofs could not bear the weight of engines. A large notice said, "Danger! Engines must not pass this board." Thomas had often been warned, but he didn't care. Silly old board, he thought. He'd often tried to pass it, but had never succeeded. This morning he laughed as he puffed along. He'd made a plan. He had to push empty trucks into one siding and pull out full ones from another. His driver stopped him, and the fireman went to turn the points. "Come on," waved the fireman, and they started. The driver leaned out of the cab to see where they were going. "Now," said Thomas to himself, and bumping the trucks fiercely, he jerked his driver off the footplate. "Hurrah!" laughed Thomas, and he followed the trucks into the siding. "Stupid old board," said Thomas as he passed it. There's no danger. His driver, unhurt, jumped up. "Look out!" he shouted. The fireman clambered into the cab. Thomas squealed crossly as his brakes were applied. "It's quite safe," he hissed. "Come back!" yelled the driver, but before they could move, there was a rumbling and the rails quivered. The fireman jumped clear. As he did so, the ballast slipped away and the rails sagged and broke. "Fire and smoke," said Thomas. "I'm sunk." And he was. Thomas could just see out of the hole, but he couldn't move. "Oh dear," he said, "I am a silly engine." "And a very naughty one too," said a voice behind him. "I saw you. Please get me out. I won't be naughty again." "I'm not so sure," replied the fat controller. "We can't lift you out with a crane. The ground's not firm enough. Let me see. I wonder if Gordon could pull you out." "Yes, sir," said Thomas nervously. He didn't want to meet Gordon just yet. "Down a mine, is he? Ho, ho, ho," laughed Gordon. What a joke, he chortled, puffing to the rescue. "Boop, boop, little Thomas," he whistled. "We'll have you out in a couple of puffs." Strong cables were fastened between the two engines. "Boop, boop, boop. Are you ready? Heave!" called the fat controller. But they didn't pull Thomas out in 2 puffs. Gordon was panting hard and nearly purple before he had dragged Thomas out of the hole and safely past the board. "I'm sorry I was cheeky," said Thomas. "That's all right, Thomas. You made me laugh. I like that." "I'm in disgrace," Gordon went on pathetically. "I feel very low." "I'm in disgrace too," said Thomas. "Why, so you are, Thomas. We're both in disgrace. Shall we form an alliance?" "What was it?" "An alliance, Thomas. United we stand, together we fall," said Gordon grandly. "You help me, and I'll help you. How about it?" "Right you are," said Thomas. "Good, that's settled," rumbled Gordon, and buffer to buffer the allies puffed home. Paint pots and queens. The stations on the line were being painted. The engines were surprised. "The Queen's coming," said the painters. The engines in their shed were excited and wondered who would pull the royal train. "I'm too old to pull important trains," said Edward sadly. "I'm in disgrace," Gordon said gloomily. "The Fat Controller would never choose me." "He'll choose me, of course," boasted James, the red engine. "You?" Henry snorted. "You can't climb hills. He'll ask me to pull it, and I'll have a new coat of paint. You wait and see." The days passed. Henry puffed about proudly, quite sure he would be the royal engine. One day when it rained, his driver and fireman stretched a tarpaulin from the cab to the tender to keep themselves dry. Henry puffed into the big station. A painter was climbing a ladder above the line. Henry's smoke puffed upwards. It was thick and black. The painter choked and couldn't see. He missed his footing on the ladder, dropped his paint pot, and fell plop onto Henry's tarpaulin. The paint poured over Henry's boiler and trickled down each side. The paint pot perched on his dome. The painter clambered down and shook his brush at Henry. "You spoil my clean paint with your dirty smoke," he said, "and then you take the whole lot and make me go and fetch some more." He stumped crossly away. The Fat Controller pushed through the crowd. "You look like an iced cake, Henry," he said. "That won't do for the royal train. I must make other arrangements." He walked over to the yard. Gordon and Thomas saw him coming, and both began to speak. "Please, sir." "One at a time," smiled the Fat Controller. "Yes, Gordon?" "May Thomas have his branch line again?" Said the Fat Controller. "Well, Thomas?" "Please, sir, can Gordon pull coaches now?" The Fat Controller pondered. You've both been quite good lately, and you deserve a treat. When the Queen comes, Edward will go in front and clear the line, Thomas will look after the coaches, and Gordon will pull the train." "Oh, sir," said the engines happily. The great day came. Percy, Toby, Henry and James worked hard bringing people to the town. Thomas sorted all their coaches in the yards. "Beep, beep, beep, they're coming!" Edward steamed in, looking smart with flags and bright paint. 2 minutes passed. 5, 7, 10. Boop, boop! Everyone knew that whistle, and a mighty cheer went up as the Queen's train glided into the station. Gordon was spotless, and his brass shone. Like Edward, he was decorated with flags, but on his buffer beam he proudly carried the royal arms. The Queen was met by the Fat Controller, and before doing anything else, she thanked him for their splendid run. "Not at all, Your Majesty," he said. "Thank you." "We have read," said the Queen to the Fat Controller, "a great deal about your engines. May we see them, please?" So he led the way to where all the engines were waiting. "Beep, beep," whistled Toby and Percy. "They're coming." "Shh, shh, shh, shh," hissed Henry and James. But Toby and Percy were too excited to care. The Fat Controller told the Queen their names, and she talked to each engine. Then she turned to go. Percy bubbled over. "3 cheers for the Queen!" he called. "Beep, beep, beep," whistled all the engines. The Fat Controller held his ears, but the Queen, smiling, waved to the engines till she passed the gate. Next day the Queen spoke specially to Thomas, who fetched her coaches, and to Edward and Gordon, who took her away, and no engines ever felt prouder than Thomas and Edward and Gordon the Big Engine. Edward the Blue Engine. Dear friends, I think most of you are fond of Edward. His driver and fireman Charlie Sand and Sidney Heaver are fond of him too. They were very pleased when they knew I was giving Edward a book all to himself. Edward is old, and some of the other engines were rude about the clanking noise he made as he did his work. They aren't rude now. These stories tell you why. The author. Cows. Edward the Blue Engine was getting old. His bearings were worn and he clanked as he puffed along. He was taking 20 empty cattle trucks to a market town. The sun shone, the birds sang, and some cows grazed in a field by the line. "Come on, come on, come on," puffed Edward. "Oh, oh, oh, oh," screamed the trucks. Edward puffed and clanked. The trucks rattled and screamed. The cows were not used to trains. The noise and smoke disturbed them. They twitched up their tails and ran. They galloped across the field, broke through the fence, and charged the train between the 13th and 14th trucks. The coupling broke, and the last 7 trucks left the rails. They were not damaged and stayed upright. They ran for a short way along the sleepers before stopping. Edward felt a jerk, but didn't take much notice. He was used to trucks. Bother those trucks, he thought. Why can't they come quietly? He ran on to the next station before either he or his driver realized what had happened. When Gordon and Henry heard about the accident, they laughed and laughed. "Fancy allowing cows to break his train. They wouldn't dare do that to us. We'd show them," they boasted. Edward pretended not to mind, but Toby was cross. "You couldn't help it, Edward," he said. "They've never met cows. I have, and I know the trouble they are." Some days later, Gordon rushed through Edward's station. "Boop, boop," he whistled. "Mind the cows! Haw, 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 haw," he chortled, panting up the hill. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," puffed Gordon. "Don't make such a fuss, don't make such a fuss," grumbled his coaches. They rumbled over the viaduct and roared through the next station. A long straight stretch of line lay ahead. In the distance was a bridge. It had high parapets each side. It seemed to Gordon there was something on the bridge. His driver thought so too. "Whoa, Gordon," he said, and shut off steam. "Pooh," said Gordon, "it's only a cow." "Shoo, shoo," he hissed, moving slowly onto the bridge. But the cow wouldn't shoo. She had lost her calf and felt lonely. "Moo," she said sadly, walking towards him. Gordon stopped. His driver, fireman, and some passengers tried to send her away, but she wouldn't go, so they gave it up. Presently Henry arrived with a train from the other direction. "What's this?" he said grandly. "A cow? I'll soon settle her. Be off, he hissed. But the cow turned and mooed at him. Henry backed away. "I don't want to hurt her," he said. Drivers, firemen, and passengers again tried to move the cow, but failed. Henry's guard went back and put detonators on the line to protect his train. At the nearest station he told them about the cow. "That must be Bluebell," said a porter thoughtfully. "Her calf is here, ready to go to market. We'll take it along." So they unloaded the calf and took it to the bridge. "Moo, moo," wailed the calf. "Moo, moo," bellowed Bluebell. She nuzzled her calf happily, and the porter led them away. The 2 trains started. "Not a word. Keep it dark," whispered Gordon and Henry as they passed. But the story soon spread. "Well, well, well," chuckled Edward. "2 big engines afraid of 1 cow? "Afraid rubbish," said Gordon huffily. "We didn't want the poor thing to hurt herself by running against us. We stopped so as not to excite her. You see what I mean, my dear Edward?" "Yes, Gordon," said Edward gravely. Gordon felt somehow that Edward saw only too well. Bertie's Chase. "Beep, beep, we're late," fussed Edward. "Beep, beep, 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 where is Thomas? He doesn't usually make us wait." "Oh dear, what can the matter be?" sang the fireman. "Johnny's so long—" "Never mind about Johnny," laughed the driver. "Just you climb on the cab and look for Thomas." "Can you see him?" "No." The guard looked at his watch. 10 minutes late, he said to the driver. "We can't wait here all day." "Look again, Sid," said the driver, "just in case." The fireman got to his feet. "Can you see him?" "No," he answered. "There's Bertie Buss in a tearing hurry. No need to bother with him, though. Likely he's on a coach tour or something." He clambered down. "Right away, Charlie," said the guard, and Edward puffed off. "Toot, toot! Stop, stop!" wailed Bertie, roaring into the yard, but it was no good. Edward's last coach had disappeared into the tunnel. "Bother," said Bertie. "Bother Thomas's fireman not coming to work today. Oh, why did I promise to help the passengers catch the train?" "That'll do, Bertie," said his driver. "A promise is a promise, and we must keep it." "I'll catch Edward or bust," said Bertie grimly as he raced along the road. "Oh, my gears and axles," he groaned, toiling up the hill. "I'll never be the same bus again. Toot, 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 toot! I see him! Hooray! Hooray!" he cheered as he reached the top of the hill. "He's reached the station!" Bertie groaned the next minute. "No, he stopped by a signal. Hooray! Hooray!" And he tore down the hill, his brakes squealing at the corners. His passengers bounced like balls in a bucket. "Well done, Bertie!" they shouted. "Go it! Go it!" Hens and dogs scattered in all directions as he raced through the village. "Wait, wait!" he tooted, skidding into the yard. He was just in time to see the signal drop, the guard wave his flag, and Edward puff out of the station. His passengers rushed to the platform, but it was no good, and they came bustling back. "I'm sorry," said Bertie unhappily. "Never mind, Bertie," they said. "After him quickly. Third time lucky, you know." "Do you think we'll catch him at the next station, driver?" "There's a good chance," he answered. "Our road keeps close to the line, and we can climb hills better than Edward." He thought for a minute. "I'll just make sure." He then spoke to the station master while the passengers waited impatiently in the bus. "This hill is too steep. This hill is too steep," grumbled the coaches as Edward snorted in front. They reached the top at last and ran smoothly into the station. "Beep, beep!" whistled Edward. "Get in quickly, please!" The porters and the people hurried, and Edward impatiently waited to start. "Beep!" whistled the guard, and Edward's driver looked back. But the flag didn't wave. There was a distant toot toot, and the station master, running across, snatched the green flag out of the guard's hand. Then everything seemed to happen at once. "Toot, toot, toot!" bellowed Bertie. His passengers poured onto the platform and scrambled into the train. The station master told the guard and driver what had happened, and Edward listened. "I'm sorry about the chase, Bertie," he said. "My fault," Bertie panted. "Late at junction. You didn't know about Thomas's passengers." "Beep, beep! Goodbye, Bertie. We're off," whistled Edward. "3 cheers for Bertie," called the passengers. They cheered and waved till they were out of sight. Saved from scrap. There's a scrapyard near Edward's station. It's full of rusty old cars and machinery. They are brought there to be broken up. The pieces are loaded into trucks, and Edward pulls them to the steelworks, where they're melted down and used again. One day, Edward saw a traction engine in the yard. "Hello," he said. "You're not broken and rusty. What are you doing here?" "I'm Trevor," said the traction engine sadly. "They're going to break me up next week." "What a shame," said Edward. "My driver says I only need some paint, brasso and oil to be as good as new," Trevor went on sadly. "But it's no good. My master doesn't want me. I suppose it's because I'm old-fashioned." Edward snorted indignantly. "People say I'm old-fashioned, but I don't care. The Fact Controller says I'm a useful engine." "My driver says I'm useful too," replied Trevor. "I sometimes feel ill, but I don't give up like these tractors. I struggle on and finish the job. I've never broken down in my life," he ended proudly. "What work did you do?" asked Edward kindly. "My master would send us from farm to farm. We threshed the corn, hauled logs, sawed timber, and did lots of other work. We made friends at all the farms and saw them every year. The children loved to see us come. They followed us in crowds and watched us all day long. My driver would sometimes give them rides." Trevor shut his eyes, remembering. "I like children," he said simply. "Oh, yes, I like children." "Broken up, what a shame! Broken up, what a shame!" clanked Edward as he went back to work. "I must help Trevor. I must." He thought of the people he knew who liked engines. Edward had lots of friends, but strangely none of them had room for a traction engine at home. "It's a shame, it's a shame," he hissed as he brought his coaches to the station. Then, "Beep, beep," he whistled. "Why didn't I think of him before?" Waiting there on the platform was the very person. "Morning, Charlie. Morning, Sid. Hello, Edward. You look upset." "What's the matter, Charlie?" he asked the driver. "There's a traction engine in the scrapyard, Vicar. He'll be broken up next week, and it's a shame. Jem Cole says he never drove a better engine. Do save him, sir. You've got room, sir." "Yes, Edward, I've got room," laughed the vicar, "but I don't need a traction engine." "He'll saw wood and give children rides. Do buy him, sir, please." "We'll see," said the vicar, and climbed into the train. Jem Cole came on Saturday afternoon. "The Reverend's coming to see you, Trevor. Maybe he'll buy you." "Do you think he will?" asked Trevor, hopefully. "He will when I've lit your fire and cleaned you up," said Jem. When the vicar and his two boys arrived in the evening, Trevor was blowing off steam. He hadn't felt so happy for months. "Watch this, Reverence," called Jem, and Trevor chuffered happily about the yard. "Oh, Daddy, do buy him," pleaded the boys, jumping up and down in their excitement. "Now I'll try," and the vicar climbed up beside Jem. "Show your paces, Trevor," he said, and drove him about the yard. Then he went into the office and came out smiling. "I've got him cheap, Jem, cheap." "Do you hear that, Trevor?" cried Jem. "The Reverend saved you, and you'll live at the vicarage now." "Beep, beep," whistled Trevor happily. "Will you drive him home for me, Jem, and take these scallywags with you? They won't want to come in the car when there's a traction engine to ride on." Trevor's home in the vicarage orchard is close to the railway, and he sees Edward every day. His paint is spotless, and his brass shines like gold. He saws firewood in the winter, and Jem sometimes borrows him when a tractor fails. Trevor likes doing his old jobs, but his happiest day is the church fete. Then, with a long wooden seat bolted to his bunker, he chuffers around the orchard, giving rides to children. Long afterwards you will see him shut his eyes, remembering. "I like children," he whispers happily. Old Iron. One day James had to wait at Edward's station till Edward and his train came in. This made him cross. "Late again," he shouted. Edward only laughed, and James fumed away. "Edward is impossible," he grumbled to the others. "He clanks about like a lot of old iron, and he's so slow he makes us wait." Thomas and Percy were indignant.
"Old iron?" they snorted. "Slow? Why, Edward could beat you in a race any day."
"Really?"
said James huffily. "I should like to see him do it." One day James's driver did not feel well when he came to work. "I'll manage," he said. But when they reached the top of Gordon's Hill, he could hardly stand. The fireman drove the train to the next station. He spoke to the signalman, put the trucks in a siding, and uncoupled James, ready for shunting. Then he helped the driver over to the station and asked them to look after him and find a relief. Suddenly the signalman shouted, and the fireman turned round and saw James puffing away. He ran hard, but he couldn't catch James, and soon came back to the signal box. The signalman was busy. "All traffic halted," he announced at last. "Up and down main lines are clear for 30 miles, and the inspector's coming." The fireman mopped his face. "What happened?" he asked. "2 boys were on the footplate. They tumbled off when James started. I shouted at them, and they ran like rabbits." "Just let me catch them," said the fireman grimly. "I'll teach them to meddle with my engine." Both men jumped as the telephone rang. "Yes," answered the signalman. "He's here." "Right, I'll tell him." "The inspector's coming at once in Edward. He wants a shunter's pole and a coil of wire rope." "What for?" wondered the fireman. "Search me, but you better get them quickly." The fireman was ready and waiting when Edward arrived. The inspector saw the pole and rope. "Good man," he said. "Jump in." We'll catch him," puffed Edward, crossing to the up line in pursuit. James was laughing as he left the yard. "What a lark, what a lark!" he chuckled to himself. Presently he missed his driver's hand on the regulator, and then he realized there was no one in his cab. "What shall I do?" he wailed. "I can't stop! Help! Help!" We're coming. Edward was panting up behind with every ounce of steam he had. With a great effort he caught up and crept alongside, slowly gaining till his smoke box was level with James's buffer beam. "Steady, Edward!" The inspector stood on Edward's front, holding a noose of rope in the crook of the shunter's pole. He was trying to slip it over James's buffer. The engine swayed and lurched. He tried again and again. More than once he nearly fell, but just saved himself. At last, "Got him!" he shouted. He pulled the noose tight and came back to the cab safely. Gently braking so as not to snap the rope, Edward's driver checked the engine speed, and James's fireman scrambled across and took control. The engines puffed back side by side. "So the old iron caught you after all," chuckled Edward. "I'm sorry," whispered James. "Thank you for saving me." "That's all right." "You were splendid, Edward." The fat controller was waiting and thanking the men warmly. "A fine piece of work," he said. "James, you can rest, then take your train. I'm proud of you, Edward. You shall go to the works and have your worn parts mended." "Oh, thank you, sir," said Edward happily. "It'll be lovely not to clank." The 2 naughty boys were soon caught by the police, and their fathers walloped them soundly. They were also forbidden to watch trains till they could be trusted. James's driver soon got well in hospital and is now back to work. James missed him very much, but he missed Edward more, and you will be glad to know that when Edward came home the other day, James and all the other engines gave him a tremendous welcome. The fat controller thinks he will be deaf for weeks. 4 Little Engines. Dear friends, Sir Handel Brown is the owner of a little railway which goes to Skarloey and Raneas. Skarloey means lake in the woods, and Raneas means divided waterfall. They're beautiful places, and lots of people visit them. The owner is very busy, so Mr. Peter Sam, the thin controller, manages the railway. The 2 engines, who are called Skarloey and Raneas, grew old and tired, so the owner bought 2 others. The stories tell you what happened. The author. Skarloey remembers. The Fat Controller had sent Edward to the works to be mended. Near the workstation, Edward noticed a narrow-gauge engine standing in an open-sided shed. That's Skarloey, he thought. What's he doing there? He remembered Skarloey and his brother Rheneas because in the old days he had often brought passengers who wanted to travel up to the lake in their little train. As the men at the works could not mend him at once, Edward asked them to put him on a siding close to Skarloey. Skarloey was pleased to see Edward. "The owner has just bought 2 more engines," he said. "He told me I was a very old engine and deserved a good rest. He gave me this shed so that I could see everything and not be lonely. But I am lonely all the same," he continued sadly. "I miss Rheneas very much. Yesterday one of the new engines pushed him on a truck, and now he's gone to be mended. I wish I could be mended too and pull coaches." "Have your coaches got names?" asked Edward. "Oh, yes, there's Agnes, Ruth, Jemima, Lucy and Beatrice. Agnes is proud. She has cushions for first-class passengers. She pities Ruth, Jemima and Lucy, who are third class with bare boards, but they all 4 sniff at Beatrice. Beatrice often smells of fish and cheese, but she's most important," said Skarloey earnestly. "She has a little window through which the guard sells tickets. I sometimes leave the others behind, but I always take Beatrice. You must have tickets and a guard, you know." "Of course," said Edward gravely. "Rheneas and I," continued Skarloey, "used to take turns at pulling the trains. We know everybody and everybody knows us. We whistle to the people at the fields, at level crossings and in lonely cottages and farms, and the people always wave to us. We love passing the school playgrounds at break time, for then the children will always run over to the fence to watch us go by. The passengers always wave, because they think the children are waving to them, but we engines know better, of course," said Skarloey importantly. "Yes, we do indeed," agreed Edward. "We take your tourists to the lake and then get ready to pull the train back. We enjoy the morning journey there because then our friends from the villages can come down to do their shopping. We whistle before every station, beep, beep, look out, and the people are there ready. 'Where's Mrs. Last?' asks the guard. 'She's coming, beep, beep,' we whistle, and Mrs. Last comes running onto the platform. 'We'll leave you behind one of these days, Mrs.,' laughs our driver, but we know he never will. We stop elsewhere, too, at farm crossings and stiles where paths lead to lonely houses. Rheneas and I know all the places very well indeed, and our driver used to say that we would stop even if he didn't put on the brakes. Sometimes on market day, Ruth, Jemima and Lucy were so full of people that the guard would allow third-class passengers to travel in Agnes. She didn't like that at all, and would grumble, 'First-class coach, third-class people.' That made me cross. 'Shut up,' I'd say, 'or I'll bump you.' That soon stopped her rudeness to my friends." Just then some workmen came. "We're going to mend you now, Edward," they said. "Come along." "Goodbye, Skarloey. Thank you for telling me about your railway. It's a lovely little line." "It is, it is. Thank you for talking to me, Edward. You've cheered me up. Goodbye." Skarloey watched Edward being taken back to the works. Then, shutting his eyes, he dozed in the warm afternoon sun. He smiled as he dozed, for he was dreaming, as old engines will, of happy days in the past. Sir Handel. The new engines looked very smart. One was called Sir Handel, and the other Peter Sam. "What a small shed," grumbled Sir Handel. "This won't do at all." "I think it's nice," said Peter Sam. "Humph," grunted Sir Handel. "What's that rubbish?" "Shh, shh," said Peter Sam. "That's Skarloey, the famous old engine." "I'm sorry, Skarloey," he whispered. "Sir Handel's upset now, but he's quite nice, really." Skarloey felt sorry for Peter Sam.
"Now, Sir Handel," said the fireman next morning, "we'll get you ready."
"I'm tired," he yawned. "Let Peter Sam go. He'd love it."
"No," said the fireman. "Owner's orders. You're first."
"Oh, well," said Sir Handel sulkily, "I suppose I must." When his driver arrived, Sir Handel puffed away to fetch the coaches.
"Whatever next?" he snorted. "Those aren't coaches, they're cattle trucks."
"Ooh!" screamed Agnes, Ruth, Lucy, Jemima, and Beatrice. "What a horrid engine!"
"It's not what I'm used to," clanked Sir Handel rebelliously, making for the station.
He rolled to the platform just as Gordon arrived.
"Hello," he said. "Who are you?"
"I'm Gordon. Who are you?"
"I'm Sir Handel. Yes, I've heard of you. You're an express engine, I believe." "So am I, but I'm used to bogie coaches, not these cattle trucks. Do you have bogie coaches?" "Oh, yes, I see you do. We must have a chat sometime. Sorry I can't stop. Must keep time, you know."
And he puffed off, leaving Gordon at a loss for words.
Come along, he puffed. Cattle trucks, grumbled the coaches. We'll pay him out.
Presently they stopped at a station. The line curved here and began to climb. It was not very steep, but the day was misty, and the rails were slippery.
"Hold back,"
whispered Agnes to Ruth. "Hold back," whispered Ruth to Jemima.
"Hold back,"
whispered Jemima to Lucy. "Hold back," whispered Lucy to Beatrice, and they giggled as Sir Handel started and their couplings tightened.
Come on, he puffed as his wheels slipped on the greasy rails. Come on.
His wheels were spinning, but the coaches pulled him back, and the train stopped on the hill beyond the station.
I can't do it, he grumbled. I'm used to sensible bogie coaches, not these bumpy cattle trucks.
The guard came up.
I think the coaches are up to something, he told the driver.
So they decided to bring the train down again to a level piece of line to give Sir Handel a good start. The guard helped the fireman put sand on the rails, and Sir Handel made a tremendous effort. The coaches tried hard to drag him back, but he puffed and pulled so hard that they were soon over the top and away on their journey. The thin controller was severe with Sir Handel that night.
You are a troublesome engine, he said. You are rude, conceited, and much too big for your wheels. Next time I shall punish you severely.
Sir Handel was impressed, and behaved well for several days. Then one morning he took the train to the top station. He was cross. It was Peter Sam's turn, but the thin controller had made him go instead.
We'll leave the coaches, said his driver, and fetch some trucks from the quarry.
Trucks, snorted Sir Handel.
Trucks!
Yes, his driver repeated. Trucks. Sir Handel jerked forward.
I won't, he muttered. So there.
He lurched, bumped, and stopped. His driver and fireman got out.
Told you,
said Sir Handel triumphantly. He had pushed the rails apart and settled down between them. They telephoned the thin controller. He came up at once with Peter Sam and brought some workmen in a truck. Then he and the fireman took Peter Sam home with the coaches, while the driver and workmen put Sir Handel back on the rails. Sir Handel did not feel so pleased with himself when he crawled home and found the thin controller waiting for him.
You are a very naughty engine, he said sternly. You will stay in the shed till I can trust you to behave.
Peter Sam and the Refreshment Lady. As Sir Handel was shut up, Peter Sam had to run the line. He was excited, and the fireman found it hard to get him ready.
Sober up, can't you? He growled. Anybody would think,
said Sir Handel rudely, that he wanted to work. All respectable engines do, said Skarloey firmly. I wish I could work myself. Keep calm, Peter Sam. Don't get excited, and you'll do very well. But Peter Sam was in such a state that he couldn't listen. When his driver came, Peter Sam ran along to fetch the coaches. Beep, 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 beep. Come along, girls, he whistled. And although he was so excited, he remembered to be careful. That's the way, my dears. Gently does it. What did he say? Asked Jemima, who was deaf. He said, come along, girls, and he called us his dears, simpered the other coaches. Really, one does not know what to think. Such a handsome young engine, too, so nice and well-mannered. And they tittered happily together as they followed Peter Sam. Peter Sam fussed into the station to find Henry already there. This won't do, youngster, said Henry. I can't be kept waiting. If you're late tonight, I'll go off and leave your passengers behind. Pooh, said Peter Sam, but secretly he was a little worried. But he couldn't feel worried for long. What fun it all is, he thought, as he ran round his train. He let off steam happily while he waited for the guard to blow his whistle and wave his green flag. Peter Sam puffed happily away, singing a little song. I'm Peter Sam, I'm running this line. I'm Peter Sam, I'm running this line. The people waved as he passed the farms and cottages. He gave a loud whistle at the school. The children all ran to see him, puffing by. Agnes, Ruth, Jemima, Lucy, and Beatrice enjoyed themselves too. He's cocky, trock, trock, but he's nice, trock, trock. He's cocky, trock, trock, but he's nice, trock, trock, they sang as they trundled along. They were growing very fond of Peter Sam. Every afternoon they had to wait an hour at the station by the lake. The driver, fireman, and the guard usually bought something from the refreshment lady and went and sat in Beatrice. The refreshment lady always came home on this train. Time passed slowly today for Peter Sam. At last his driver and fireman came. Beep, beep! Hurry up, please, he whistled to the passengers, and they came strolling back to the station. Peter Sam was sizzling with impatience. How awful, he thought, if we miss Henry's train. The last passengers arrived. The guard was ready with his flag and whistle. The refreshment lady walked across the platform. Then it happened. The guard says that Peter Sam was too impatient. Peter Sam says he was sure he heard a whistle. Anyway, he started. Come quickly, he puffed. Stop, 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 wailed the coaches. You've left her behind, you've left her behind. The guard whistled and waved his red flag. The driver, looking back, saw the refreshment lady shouting and running after the train. Bother, groaned Peter Sam as he stopped. We'll miss Henry now. The refreshment lady climbed into Beatrice, and they started again. We're sure to be late, panted Peter Sam frantically. His driver had to keep checking him. Steady, old boy, steady. Beep, beep, Peter Sam whistled at the stations. Hurry, please, hurry! And they reached the big station just as Henry steamed in. Hurrah! Said Peter Sam. We've caught him after all. And he let off steam with relief. Whoosh! Not bad, youngster, said Henry loftily. The refreshment lady shook her fist at Peter Sam. What do you mean by leaving me behind? She demanded. I'm sorry, refreshment lady, but I was worried about our passengers. And he told her what Henry had said. The refreshment lady laughed. You silly engine, she said. Henry wouldn't dare go. He's got to wait. It's a guaranteed connection. Well, said Peter Sam. Well, where's that Henry? But Peter Sam was too late that time, for Henry had chortled away. Old Faithful. Sir Handel stayed shut up for several days, But one market day, Peter Sam could not work. He needed repairs. Sir Handel was glad to come out. He tried to be kind, but the coaches didn't trust him. They were awkward and rude. He even sang them little songs, but it was no use. It was more unfortunate, too, that Sir Handel had to check suddenly to avoid running over a sheep. "He's bumped us!" screamed the coaches. "Let's pay him out!" The coaches knew that all engines must go carefully at a place near the big station. But they were so cross with Sir Handel that they didn't care what they did. They surged into Sir Handel, making him lurch off the line. Luckily, no one was hurt. Sir Handel limped to the shed. The thin controller inspected the damage. "No more work for you today," he said. "Bother those coaches. We must take the village people home and fetch the tourists, all without an engine." "What about me, sir?" said a voice. "Skarloey!" he exclaimed. "Can you do it?" "I'll try," answered the old engine. The coaches stood at the platform. Skarloey advanced on them, hissing crossly. "I'm ashamed of you," he scolded. "Such behaviour. You might have hurt your passengers on market day too." "Oh, we're sorry, Skarloey. We didn't think. It's that Sir Handel, he's—" "No tales," said Skarloey firmly. "I won't have it, and don't you dare try tricks on me." "No, Skarloey, of course not, Skarloey," quavered the coaches meekly. Skarloey might be old and have dirty paint, but he was certainly an engine who would stand no nonsense. His friends crowded round, and the guard had to shoo them away before they could start. Skarloey felt happy. He remembered all the gates and stiles where he had to stop, and whistled to his friends. The sun shone, the rails were dry. "This is lovely," he thought. But presently they began to climb, and he felt short of steam. "Bother my tubes," he panted. "Take your time, old boy," soothed his driver. I'll manage," he wheezed, and pausing for breath at the stations, he gallantly struggled along. After a rest at the top station, Skarloey was ready to start. "It'll be better downhill," he thought. The coaches ran nicely, but he soon began to feel tired again. His springs were weak, and the rail joints jarred his wheels. Then, with a crack, a front spring broke, and he stopped. "I feel all crooked," he complained. "That's torn it," said his driver. "We'll need a bus now for our passengers." "No," pleaded Skarloey. "I'd be ashamed to have a bus take my passengers. I'll get home or burst," he promised bravely. The thin controller looked at his watch and paced the platform. James and his train waited impatiently too. They heard a hoarse beep, beep. Then groaning, clanging and clanking, Skarloey crept into sight. He was tilted to one side and making fearful noises, but he plodded bravely on. "I'll do it! I'll do it!" he gasped between the clanks and groans. "I've done it!" And he sighed thankfully as the train stopped where James was waiting. James said nothing. He waited for his passengers and then respectfully puffed away. "You were right, sir," said Skarloey to the owner that evening. "Old engines can't pull trains like young ones." The owner smiled. "They can if they're mended, old faithful," he said, "and that's what will happen to you. You deserve it." "Oh, sir," said Skarloey happily. Sir Handel is longing for Skarloey to come back. He thinks Skarloey is the best engine in the world. He does his fair share of the work now, and the coaches never play tricks on him because he always manages them in Skarloey's way. If you have enjoyed these stories, you will enjoy a visit to the Tallychlyn Railway at Tywyn in Wales. Percy, the Small Engine. Dear Christopher and Giles and Peter and Clive, thank you for writing to us for a book about Percy. He's still cheeky, and we were afraid, the Fat Controller and I, that if he had a book to himself, it might make him cheekier than ever, and that would never do. But Percy has been such a really useful engine that we both think he deserves a book. Here it is. The author. Percy and the Signal. Percy is a little green tank engine who works in the yard at the big station. He's a funny little engine and loves playing jokes. These jokes sometimes get him into trouble. "Beep, beep," he whistled one morning. "Hurry up, Gordon, the train's ready." Gordon thought he was late and came puffing out. "Ha ha!" laughed Percy and showed him a train of dirty coal trucks. Gordon didn't go back to the shed. He stayed on a siding, thinking how to pay Percy out. "Stay in the shed today," squeaked Percy to James. "The Fat Controller will come and see you." James was a conceited engine. "Ah," he thought, "the Fat Controller knows I'm a fine engine, ready for anything. He wants me to pull a special train." So James stayed where he was, and nothing his driver and fireman could do would make him move. But the Fat Controller never came, and the other engines grumbled dreadfully. They had to do James's work as well as their own. At last an inspector came. "Show a wheel, James," he said crossly. "You can't stay here all day." "The Fat Controller told me to stay here," answered James sulkily. "He sent a message this morning." "He did not," retorted the inspector. "How could he? He's away for a week." "Oh," said James. "Oh." And he came quickly out of the shed. "Where's Percy?" Percy had wisely disappeared. When the Fat Controller came back, he did see James. And Percy, too. Both engines wished he hadn't. James and Gordon wanted to pay Percy out, but Percy kept out of their way. One morning, however, he was so excited that he forgot to be careful. "I say, you engines," he bubbled, "I'm to take some trucks to Thomas's Junction. The Fat Controller chose me specially. He must know I'm a really useful engine." "More likely he wants you out of the way," grunted James. But Gordon gave James a wink. Like this. "Ah, yes," said James. "Just so. You were saying, Gordon?"
"James and I were just speaking about signals at the junction. We can't be too careful about signals, but then I needn't say that to a really useful engine like you, Percy."
Percy felt flattered. "Oh, of course not," he said. "We had spoken of backing signals," put in James. "They need extra special care, you know. Would you like me to explain?" "No, thank you, James," said Percy airily. "I know all about signals." And he bustled off importantly. James and Gordon solemnly exchanged winks. Percy was a little worried as he set out. "I wonder what backing signals are," he thought. "Never mind, I'll manage. I know all about signals." He puffed crossly to his trucks and felt better. He saw a signal just outside the station. "Bother," he said. "It's at danger." "Ooh, ooh, ooh," screamed the trucks as they bumped into each other. Presently the signal moved to show line clear. Its arm moved up instead of down. Percy had never seen that sort of signal before. He was surprised. "Down means go," he thought, "and up means stop, so upper still must mean go back. I know, it's one of those backing signals. How clever of me to find that out." "Come on, Percy," said his driver. "Off we go." But Percy wouldn't go forward, and his driver had to let him back in order to start at all. "I am clever," thought Percy. "Even my driver doesn't know about backing signals." And he started so suddenly that the truck screamed again. "Whoa, Percy!" called his driver. "Stop! You're going the wrong way." "But it's a backing signal," Percy protested, and told him about Gordon and James. The driver laughed and explained about signals that point up.
"Oh, dear," said Percy. "Let's start quickly before they come and see us."
But he was too late. Gordon swept by with the express and saw everything. The big engines talked about signals that night. They thought the subject was funny. They laughed a lot. Percy thought they were being very silly. Duck takes charge.
"Do you know what?"
asked Percy. "What?" grunted Gordon.
"Do you know what?"
"Silly," said Gordon crossly. "Of course I don't know what, if you don't tell me what is."
"The Fat Controller says that the work in the yard is too heavy for me. He's getting a bigger engine to help me."
"Rubbish," put in James. "Any engine could do it," he went on grandly. "If you worked more and chattered less, this yard would be a sweeter, a better, and a happier place." Percy went off to fetch some coaches.
"That stupid old signal," he thought. "No one listens to me now. They think I'm a silly little engine and order me about. I'll show them, he puffed as he ran about the yard, but he didn't know how. Things went wrong. The coaches and trucks behaved badly, and by the end of the afternoon he felt tired and unhappy. He brought some coaches to the station and stood panting at the end of the platform.
"Hello, Percy," said the Fat Controller. "You look tired."
"Yes, sir, I am, sir. I don't know if I'm standing on my dome or my wheels."
"You look the right way up to me," laughed the Fat Controller. "Cheer up. The new engine is bigger than you, and can probably do the work alone. Would you like to help build my new harbour at Thomas's Junction? Thomas and Toby will help, but I need an engine there all the time."
"Oh, yes, sir. Thank you, sir,"
said Percy happily. The new engine arrived next morning. "What's your name?" asked the Fat Controller kindly. "Montague, sir, but I'm usually called Duck. They say I waddle. I don't really, sir, but I like Duck better than Montague." "Good," said the Fat Controller. "Duck it shall be. Here, Percy, come and show Duck around." The two engines went off together. At first the trucks played tricks, but soon found that playing tricks on Duck was a mistake. The coaches behaved well, though James, Gordon, and Henry did not. They watched Duck quietly doing his work. "He seems a simple sort of engine," they whispered. "We'll have some fun." "Quack! Quack!" they wheezed as they passed him. Percy was cross, but Duck took no notice. "They'll get tired of it soon," he said. Presently the three engines began to order Duck about. Duck stopped. "Do they tell you to do things, Percy?" he asked. "Yes, they do," answered Percy sadly. "Right," said Duck. "We'll soon stop that nonsense." He whispered something. "We'll do it tonight." The Fat Controller had had a good day. There'd been no grumbling passengers, all the trains had run to time, and Duck had worked well in the yard. The Fat Controller was looking forward to hot buttered toast for tea at home. He'd just left the office when he heard an extraordinary noise. "Bother," he said, and hurried to the yard. Henry, Gordon, and James were wheeshing and snorting furiously, while Duck and Percy calmly sat on the points outside the shed, refusing to let the engines in. "Stop that noise!" he bellowed. "Now, Gordon!" "They won't let us in," hissed the big engine crossly. "Duck, explain this behaviour." "Beg pardon, sir, but I'm a Great Western engine. We Great Western engines do our work without fuss. We are not ordered about by other engines. You, sir, are our controller. We will, of course, move if you order us, but begging your pardon, sir, Percy and I would be glad if you would inform these, engines that we only take orders from you." The three engines hissed angrily. "Silence!" snapped the Fat Controller. "Percy and Duck, I'm pleased with your work today, but not
with your behaviour tonight. You have caused a disturbance."
Gordon, Henry, and James sniggered. They stopped suddenly when the Fat Controller turned on them.
"As for you," he thundered, "you've been worst. You made the disturbance. Duck is quite right. This is my railway, and I give the orders."
When Percy went away, Duck was left to manage alone. He did so easily. Percy and Harold. Percy worked hard at the harbour. Toby helped, but sometimes the loads of stones were too heavy, and Percy had to fetch them for himself. Then he would push the trucks along the quay to where the workmen needed the stone for their building. An airfield was close by, and Percy heard the aeroplanes zooming overhead all day. The noisiest of all was a helicopter, which hovered, buzzing like an angry bee.
"Stupid thing," said Percy. "Why can't it go and buzz somewhere else?"
One day Percy stopped near the airfield. The helicopter was standing quite close.
"Hello," said Percy. "Who are you?" "I'm Harold. Who are you?" "I'm Percy. What whirly great arms you've got." "They're nice arms," said Harold, offended. "I can hover like a bird. Don't you wish you could hover?" "Certainly not. I like my rails, thank you." "I think railways are slow," said Harold in a bored voice. "They're not much use and quite out of date."
He whirled his arms and buzzed away. Percy found Toby at the top station, arranging trucks.
"I say, Toby," he burst in, "that Harold, that stuck-up whirly-bird thing, says I'm slow and out of date. Just let him wait. I'll show him."
He collected his trucks and started off, still fuming. Soon, above the clatter of the trucks, they heard a familiar buzzing. "Percy," whispered his driver, "there's Harold. He's not far ahead. Let's race him."
"Yes, let's,"
said Percy excitedly, and quickly gathering speed, he shot off down the line. The guard's wife had given him a flask of tea for elevenses. He'd just poured out a cup when the van lurched, and he spilled it down his uniform. He wiped up the mess with his handkerchief and staggered to the front platform. Percy was pounding along. The truck screamed and swayed, while the van rolled and pitched like a ship at sea. "Well, I'll be ding-dong-danged," said the guard. Then he saw Harold buzzing alongside and understood. "Go it, Percy!" he yelled. "You're gaining!" Percy had never been allowed to run fast before. He was having the time of his life. "Hurry, hurry, hurry!" he panted to the trucks. We don't want to, they grumbled. But it was no use. Percy was bucketing along with flying wheels, and Harold was high and alongside. The fireman shovelled for dear life, while the driver was so excited he could hardly keep still. "Well done, Percy," he shouted. "We're gaining, we're going ahead. Oh, good boy, good boy." Far ahead, a distant signal warned them that the wharf was near. "Shut off steam, whistle, beep, 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 brakes, guard, please." Using Percy's brakes too, the driver carefully checked the train's headlong speed. They rolled under the main line and halted smoothly on the wharf. "Oh dear," groaned Percy. "I'm sure we've lost." The fireman scrambled to the cab roof. "We've won! We've won!" he shouted, and nearly fell off in his excitement. "Harold's still hovering! He's looking for a place to land!" "Listen, boys," the fireman called. "Here's a song for Percy." Said Harold Helicopter to our Percy, "You are slow. Your railway's out of date and not much use, you know. But Percy with his stone trucks did the trip in record time, and we beat that helicopter on our old branch line." The driver and guards soon caught the tune, and so did the workmen on the quay. Percy loved it. "Oh, thank you," he said. He liked the last line best of all. Percy's Promise. A mob of excited children poured out of Annie and Clarabel one morning and raced down to the beach.
"They're the vicar's Sunday school," explained Thomas. "I'm busy this evening, but the station master says I can ask you to take them home." "Oh, of course I will," promised Percy. The children had a lovely day, but at tea-time it got very hot. Dark clouds loomed overhead. Then came lightning, thunder, and rain. The children only just managed to reach shelter before the deluge began. Annie and Clarabel stood at the platform. The children scrambled in. "Can we go home, please, station master?" asked the vicar. The station master called Percy. "Take the children home quickly, please," he ordered. The rain streamed down on Percy's boiler. "Ugh!" He shivered and thought of his nice dry shed. Then he remembered. "A promise is a promise," he told himself. "So here goes." His driver was anxious. The river was rising fast. It foamed and swirled fiercely, threatening to flood the country any minute. The rain beat in Percy's face. "I wish I could see, I wish I could see," he complained. They left a cutting and found themselves in water. "Oh, my wheels!" shivered Percy. "It's cold." But he struggled on. "Ooh, shh!" he hissed. "It's sloshing my fire." They stopped and backed the coaches to the cutting and waited until the guard found a telephone. He returned, looking gloomy. "We couldn't go back if we wanted," he said. "The bridge near the junction is down." The fireman went to the guard's van, carrying a hatchet. "Hello," said the guard. "You look fierce. I want some dry wood for Percy's fire, please." They broke up some boxes, but that did not satisfy the fireman. "I'll have some of your floorboards," he said. "What? My nice floor?" grumbled the guard. "I only swept it this morning." But he found a hatchet and helped. Soon they had plenty of wood stored in Percy's bunker. His fire burnt well now. He felt warm and comfortable again. Bzzz, bzzz, bzzz. "Oh, dear," thought Percy sadly. "Harold's come to laugh at me." Bump. Something thudded on Percy's boiler. "Ow!" he exclaimed in a muffled voice. "That's really too bad. He needn't throw things." His driver unwound a parachute from Percy's indignant front. "Harold isn't throwing things at you," he laughed. "He's dropping hot drinks for us." They all had a drink of cocoa and felt better. Percy had steam up now. "Beep, beep! Thank you, Harold!" he whistled. "Come on, let's go!" The water lapped his wheels. He shivered. It crept up and up and up. It reached his ashpan. Then it sloshed at his fire. Ooh, shh! Percy was losing steam, but he plunged bravely on. "I promise," he panted. "I promised." They piled his fire high with wood and managed to keep him steaming. "I must do it," he gasped. "I must! I must! I must!" He made a last great effort and stood, exhausted but triumphant, on rails which were clear of the flood. He rested to get steam back, then brought the train home. "3 cheers for Percy," called the vicar, and the children nearly raised the roof. The Fat Controller arrived in Harold. First he thanked the men. "Harold tell me you were a wizard, Percy. He says he can beat you at some things," Percy snorted, "but not at being a submarine." He chuckled. "I don't know what you've both been playing at, and I won't ask, but I do know that you're a really useful engine." "Oh, sir," whispered Percy, happily. The 8 Famous Engines. Dear friends, the Fat Controller's engines are now quite famous. They've been on the wireless and had many other adventures. But he had another plan too for his engines, and this book will tell you what it was. The author. Percy takes the plunge. Sometimes Percy takes stone trucks to the other end of the line. There he meets engines from the other railway. One day
Henry wanted to rest in the shed, but Percy was talking to some tank engines. "It was raining hard. Water swirled under my boiler. I couldn't see where I was going, but I struggled on. Oh, Percy, you are brave." "Well," said Percy modestly, "it wasn't anything, really. Water's nothing to an engine with determination." "Tell us more, Percy," said the engines. "What are you engines doing here?" hissed Henry. "This shed is for the Fat Controller's engines. Go away." "Silly things," snorted Henry. "They're not silly." Percy had been enjoying himself. He was cross because Henry had sent them away. "They are silly, and so are you. Water's nothing to an engine with determination. Pah!" "Anyway," said cheeky Percy, "I'm not afraid of water. I like it." And he ran away singing, "Once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain." Percy arrived home feeling pleased with himself. "Silly old Henry," he chuckled. Thomas was looking at a board on the quay. It said, "Danger. We mustn't go past it," he said. "That's orders." "Why?" "Danger means falling down something," said Thomas. "I went past danger once and fell down a mine." Percy looked beyond the board. "I can't see a mine," he said. He didn't know that the foundations of the quay had sunk and that the rails now sloped downward to the sea. "Stupid board," said Percy. For days and days he tried to sidle past it, but his driver stopped him every time. "No, you don't," he would say. Then Percy made a plan. One day at the top station he whispered to the trucks, "Will you give me a bump when we get to the quay?" The trucks were surprised. They'd never been asked to bump an engine before. They giggled and chattered about it the whole way down. "Whoa, Percy, whoa," said his driver, and Percy checked obediently at the distant signal. "Driver doesn't know my plan," he chuckled. On, laughed the trucks. Percy thought they were helping. "I'll pretend to stop at the station, but the trucks will push me past the board. Then I'll make them stop. I can do that whenever I like." If Percy hadn't been so conceited, he would never have been so silly. Every wise engine knows that you cannot trust trucks. They reached the station, and Percy's brakes groaned. That was the signal for the trucks. Go on, they yelled and surged forward together. They gave Percy a fearful bump and knocked his driver and fireman off the footplate. "Ow!" said Percy, sliding past the board. The day was misty. The rails were slippery. His wheels wouldn't grip. Percy was frantic. "That's enough!" he hissed. But it was too late. Once on the slope, he tobogganed helplessly down, crashed through the buffers, and slithered into the sea. "You're a very disobedient engine." Percy knew that voice. He groaned. The foreman borrowed a small boat and rowed the Fat Controller round. "Please, sir, get me out, sir. I'm truly sorry, sir." "No, Percy, we cannot do that till high tide. I hope it'll teach you to obey orders." "Yes, sir." Percy shivered miserably. He was cold. Fish were playing hide-and-seek through his wheels. The tide rose higher and higher. He was feeling his position more and more deeply every minute. It was nearly dark when they brought floating cranes, cleared away the trucks, and lifted Percy out. He was too cold and stiff to move by himself, so he went to the works next day on Henry's goods train. Well, chuckled Henry. "Did you like the water?" "No." "I am surprised. You need more determination, Percy. Water's nothing to an engine with determination, you know. Perhaps you'll like it better next time." But Percy is quite determined that there won't be a next time. Gordon Goes Foreign. Lots of people travel to the big station at the end of the line. Engines from the other railways sometimes pull their trains. These engines stay the night and go home next day. Gordon was talking one day to one of these.
"When I was young and green," he said, "I remember going to London. Do you know the place? The station's called King's Cross." "King's Cross?" snorted the engine. "London's Euston. Everybody knows that."
"Rubbish," said Duck. "London's Paddington. I know. I worked there." They argued till they went to sleep. They argued when they woke up. They were still arguing when the other engine went away.
"Stupid thing," said Gordon crossly. "I've no patience."
"Stupid yourself," said Duck. "London's Paddington. Paddington, do you hear?" "Stop arguing," James broke in. "You make me tired. You're both agreed about something anyway." "What's that?"
"London's not Euston,"
laughed James. "Now shut up." Gordon rolled away, still grumbling.
"I'm sure it's King's Cross. I'll go and prove it."
But that was easier said than done. London lay beyond the big station at the other end of the line. Gordon had to stop there. Another engine then took his train.
"If I didn't stop," he thought, "I could go to London."
One day he ran right through the station. Another time he tried to start before the fireman could uncouple the coaches. He tried all sorts of tricks, but it was no good. His driver checked him every time.
"Oh dear," he thought sadly, "I'll never get there."
One day he pulled the express to the station as usual. His fireman uncoupled the coaches, and he ran onto his siding to wait till it was time to go home. The coaches waited and waited at the platform, but their engine didn't come. A porter ran across and spoke to Gordon's driver. "The inspector's on the platform. He wants to see you." The driver climbed down from the cab and walked over the station. He came back in a few minutes, looking excited. "Hello," said the fireman. "What's happened?" "The engine for the express turned over when it was coming out of the yard. Nothing else can come in or out. They want us to take the train to London. I said we would if the Fat Controller agreed. They telephoned, and he said we could do it. How's that?" "Fine," said the fireman. "We'll show them what the Fat Controller's engines can do."
"Come on," said Gordon. "Let's go."
He rolled quickly off the crossings and backed onto the train. It was only a few minutes before the guard blew his whistle, but Gordon thought it was ages.
"Come on, come on,"
he puffed to the coaches.
"Come on, come on, come on."
"We're going to town, we're going to town," sang the coaches, slowly at first, then faster and faster. Gordon found that London was a long way away.
"Never mind," he said. "I like a good long run to stretch my wheels."
But all the same he was glad when London came in sight. The Fat Controller came into his office next morning. He looked at the letters on his desk. One had a London postmark.
"I wonder how Gordon's getting on," he said.
The station master knocked and came in. He looked excited. "Excuse me, sir, have you seen the news?"
"Not yet. Why?"
"Just look at this, sir." The Fat Controller took the newspaper.
"Good gracious me," he said. "There's Gordon. Headlines, too. Famous engine at London station. Police called to control crowds."
The Fat Controller read on, absorbed. Gordon returned next day. The Fat Controller spoke to his driver and fireman.
"I see you had a good welcome in London."
"We certainly did, sir. We signed autographs till our arms ached, and Gordon had his photograph taken from so many directions at once he didn't know which way to look."
"Good," smiled the Fat Controller. "I expect he enjoyed himself, didn't you, Gordon?" "No, sir, I didn't."
"Why ever not?"
"London's all wrong," answered Gordon sadly. "They've changed it. It isn't King's Cross any more. It's St. Pancras."
Double header. The Fat Controller gave Gordon a rest when he came back from London. He told James to do his work. James got very conceited about it. "You know, little Toby," he said one day, "I'm an important engine now. Everybody knows it. They come in crowds to see me flash by. The heaviest train makes no difference. I'm as regular as clockwork. They all set their watches by me. Never late, always on time. That's me."
"Says you,"
replied Toby. cheekily. Toby was out on the main line. The Fat Controller had sent him to the works. His parts were worn. They clanked as he trundled along. He was enjoying his journey. He was a little engine, and his tanks didn't hold much water, so he often had to stop for a drink. He had small wheels, too, and he couldn't go fast. "Never mind," he thought. "The signalmen all know me. They'll give me plenty of time." But a new signalman had come to one of the stations. Toby had wanted to take Henrietta, but the Fat Controller had said, "No, what would the passengers do without her?" He wondered if Henrietta was lonely. Percy had promised to look after her, but Toby couldn't help worrying. "Percy doesn't understand her like I do," he said. He felt thirsty and tired. He'd come a long way. He saw a distant signal. "Good," he thought. "Now I can have a nice drink and rest in a siding till James has gone by." Toby's driver thought so too. They stopped by the water crane. His fireman jumped out and put the hose in his tank. Toby was enjoying his drink when the signalman came up. Toby had never seen him before. "No time for that," said the signalman. "We must clear the road for the express." Right," said the driver. "We'll wait in the siding." "No good," said the signalman. "It's full of trucks. You'll have to hurry to the next station. They've got plenty of room for you there." Poor Toby clanked sadly away. I must hurry," he panted. But hurrying used a lot of water, and his tanks were soon empty. They damped down his fire and struggled on, but he soon ran out of steam and stood marooned on the main line, far away from the next station. The fireman walked back. He put detonators on the line to warn James and his driver, and then he hurried along the sleepers. "I'll tell that signalman something," he said grimly. James was fuming when Toby's fireman arrived and explained what had happened. "My fault," said the signalman. "I didn't understand about Toby." "Now, James," said his driver, "you'll have to push him." "What? Me?" snorted James. "Me push Toby and pull my train?" "Yes, you. Shan't." The driver and the fireman, the passengers and the guard all said he was a bad engine. All right, grumbled James. He came up behind Toby and gave him a bump. "Get on, you," he said crossly. James's driver made him push Toby all the way to the works. "Serves you right for being cross," he said. James had to work very hard, and when he reached the work station, he felt exhausted. Some little boys ran along the platform. "Coo!" said one. "The express is late. A double-header, too. Do you know what I think? I think," he went on, "that James couldn't pull the train, so Toby had to help him." "Caw!" said James, and disappeared in a cloud of steam. The Fat Controller's Engine. One evening Thomas brought his last train to the junction. He went for a drink. "I'm going to the big station," he said to Percy and Toby. "So are we," they answered. "Do you know," Percy went on, "I think something's up." Toby looked at the sky. "Where?" "Down here, silly," laughed Thomas. "How," asked Toby reasonably, "can something be up when it's down?" "Look," said Thomas excitedly. "Look!" 7 engines from the other railway were coming along the line. "Hello, Ginty!" whistled Percy. "Hello, Pug! They're friends of mine," he explained. "I don't know the others." Ginty and Pug whistled cheerfully as they puffed through the station. "What is all this?" asked Thomas. "The Fat Controller's got a plan," answered his driver, "and he's going to tell it to us. Come on." So they followed to the big station at the end of the line, where all the engines had gone. The Fat Controller was waiting for them there. "The people of England," he said, "read about us in the books, but they do not think that we are real." "Shame!" squeaked Percy. The Fat Controller glared. Percy subsided. "So," he continued, "I'm taking my engines to England to show them. Hooray! Hooray!" The engines whistled. The Fat Controller held his ears. "Silence!" he bellowed.
We start the day after tomorrow at 8 a.m. Meanwhile, as these engines have kindly come from the other railway to take your place, you will show them your work tomorrow." Next day, as Annie and Clarabel were going to England too, Thomas and Ginty practised with some other coaches. Thomas was excited. He began boasting about his race with Bertie. "I whooshed through the tunnel and stopped an inch from the buffers, like this." Crash! The buffers broke. No one was hurt, but Thomas's front was badly bent. They telephoned the Fat Controller. "I'll send up some men," he said, "but if they can't mend Thomas in time, we'll go to England without him." Next morning the engines waited at the junction. Toby and Percy were each on a truck, and Duck had pushed them into place behind Edward. Henrietta stood on a siding. The Fat Controller had called her a curiosity. "I wouldn't dream of leaving you behind," he said. "I'll fit you up as my private coach." She felt very grand. Gordon, James, and Henry were in front. They whistled impatiently. The Fat Controller paced the platform. He looked at his watch. 1 minute more," he said, turning to the guard. "Beep, beep, beep," whistled Thomas, and panted into the station. Annie and Clarabel twittered anxiously. "We hope we're not late. It isn't quite 8. "Thomas," said the Fat Controller sternly, "I'm most displeased with you. You nearly upset my arrangements." Thomas, abashed, arranged himself and the coaches behind Duck without saying a word. The Fat Controller climbed into Henrietta. The guard blew his whistle and waved his flag. The engines whistled, "Look out, England! Here we come!" and the cavalcade puffed off. The engines stood side by side in a big, airy shed. Hundreds of people came to see them and climbed in and out of their cabs every day. They liked it at first, but presently felt very bored and were glad when it was time to go. The people along their line put the flags out and cheered them home. "We are glad to see you," they said. "Those others did their best, but they don't know our ways. Nothing anywhere can compare with our Fat Controller's engines." Duck and the Diesel Engine. Dear friends, we have had 2 visitors to our railway. One of these, City of Truro, is a very famous engine. We were sorry when we had to say goodbye to him. The other visitor was different. "I do not believe," writes the Fat Controller, "that all diesels are troublesome, but this one upset our engines and made Duck very unhappy." The Author. Domeless Engines. A special train arrived one day, and the Fat Controller welcomed the passengers. They looked at everything in the yard and photographed the engines. Duck's driver let some of them ride in his cab. "They're the Railway Society," his driver explained. "They've come to see us. Their engine's City of Truro. He was the first to go 100 miles an hour. Let's get finished, then we can go and talk to him." "Oh," said Duck, awed. "He's too famous to notice me." "Rubbish," smiled his driver. "Come on." Duck found City of Truro at the coaling stage. "May I talk to you?" he asked shyly. "Of course," smiled the famous engine. "I see you are one of us." "I try to teach them our ways," said Duck modestly. "All shipshape and Swindon fashion." "That's right." Please, could you tell me how you beat the South Western?" So City of Truro told Duck all about his famous run from Plymouth to Bristol more than 50 years ago. They were soon firm friends and talked Great Western till late at night. City of Truro left early next morning. "Good riddance," grumbled Gordon, "chattering all night, keeping important engines awake. Who is he, anyway?" "He's City of Truro. He's famous,"
as famous as me.
Nonsense. He's famouser than you. He went 100 miles an hour before you were drawn or thought of.
So he says, but I didn't like his looks. He's got no dome, said Gordon darkly. Never trust domeless engines. They're not respectable. I never boast, Gordon continued modestly, but 100 miles an hour would be easy for me. Goodbye.
Presently, Duck took some trucks to Edward's station. He was cross, and it was lucky for those trucks that they tried no tricks. "Hello," called Edward. "The famous city of Truro came through this morning. He whistled to me. Wasn't he kind?" "He's the finest engine in the world," said Duck, and he told Edward about City of Truro and what Gordon had said. "Oh, don't take any notice," soothed Edward. "He's just jealous. He thinks no engine should be famous but him. Look, he's coming now." Gordon's boiler seemed to have swollen larger than ever. He was running very fast. He swayed up and down and from side to side as his wheels pounded the rails. "He did it, I'll do it. He did it, I'll do it," he panted. His train rocketed past and was gone. Edward chuckled and winked at Duck. "Gordon's trying to do a City of Truro," he said. Duck was still cross. "I should think he'll knock himself to bits," he snorted. "I heard something rattle as he went through." Gordon's driver eased him off. "Steady, boy," he said. "We aren't running a race." "We are, then," said Gordon, but he said it to himself. "I've never known him ride so roughly before," remarked his driver. His fireman grabbed the brake handle to steady himself. "He's giving himself a hammering and no mistake." Soon Gordon began to feel a little queer. "The top of my boiler seems funny," he thought. "It's just as if something was loose. I'd better go slower." But by then it was too late. They met the wind on the viaduct. It wasn't just a gentle wind, nor was it a hard, steady wind. It was a teasing wind which blew suddenly in hard puffs and caught you unawares. Gordon thought it wanted to push him off the bridge. "No, you don't," he said firmly. But the wind had other ideas. It curled round his boiler, crept under his loose dome, and lifted it off and away into the valley below. It fell on the rocks with a clang. Gordon was most uncomfortable. He felt cold where his dome wasn't, and besides people laughed at him as he passed. At the big station he tried to wheesh them away, but they crowded round no matter what he did. On the way back he wanted his driver to stop and find his dome, and was very cross when he wouldn't. He hoped the shed would be empty, but all the engines were there waiting. "Never trust domeless engines," said a voice. "They aren't respectable." Pop goes the diesel. City of Truro's visit made Duck very proud of being Great Western. He talked endlessly about it, but he worked hard too, and made everything go like clockwork. The trucks behaved well, the coaches were ready on time, and the passengers even stopped grumbling. But the engines didn't like having to bustle about. "There are two ways of doing this," Duck told them. "The Great Western way or the wrong way. I'm Great Western, and—" "Don't we know it?" they groaned. They were glad when a visitor came. The visitor purred smoothly towards them. The fat controller climbed down. "Here is Diesel," he said. "I have agreed to give him a trial. He needs to learn. Please teach him, Duck." "Good morning," purred Diesel in an oily voice. "Pleased to meet you, Duck. Is that James? And Henry? And Gordon, too? I am delighted to meet such famous engines." And he purred towards them. The silly engines were flattered. "He has very good manners," they murmured. "We are pleased to have him in our yard." Duck had his doubts. "Come on," he said shortly. "Ah, yes,"
said Diesel. "The yard, of course. Excuse me, engines." And he purred after Duck, talking hard. "You're worthy, Fat." "So top that to you," ordered Duck. Diesel looked hurt. "You're worthy, Sir Topham Hatt. Thinks I need to learn. He is mistaken. We Diesels don't need to learn. We know everything. We come to a yard and improve it. We are revolutionary."
"Oh," said Duck, "if you're revu thingamy, perhaps you would collect my trucks while I fetch Gordon's coaches."
Diesel, delighted to show off, purred away. With much banging and clashing, he collected a row of trucks. Duck left Gordon's coaches in the station and came back. Diesel was now trying to take some trucks from a siding nearby. They were old and empty. Clearly they had not been touched for a long time. Their brakes would not come off properly. Diesel found them hard to move. Pull, push, backwards, forwards. "Ooh, ooh," the trucks groaned. "We can't, we won't." Duck watched the operation with interest. Diesel lost patience. "Grrr," he roared, and gave a great heave. The trucks jerked forward. "Ooh, ooh," they screamed. "We can't, we won't." Some of their brakes broke, and the gear hanging down bumped on the rails and sleepers. "We can't, we won't, ah!" Their trailing brakes caught in the points and locked themselves solid. "Grrr," roared Diesel. A rusty coupling broke, and he shot forward suddenly by himself. "Ho, ho, ho," chuckled Duck. Diesel recovered and tried to push the trucks back, but they wouldn't move, and he had to give up. Duck ran quietly round to where the other trucks all stood in line. "Thank you for arranging these, Diesel," he said. "I must go now." "Don't you want this lot?" "No, thank you." Diesel gulped. "And I've taken all this trouble," he almost shrieked. "Why didn't you tell me?" "You never asked me. Besides," said Duck innocently, "you were having such fun being whatever it was you said. Goodbye." Diesel had to help the workmen clear the mess. He hated it. All the trucks and coaches were laughing. Presently he heard them sing. Their song grew louder and louder, and soon it echoed through the yard. "Trucks are waiting in the yard, tackling them with easel. Show the world what I can do," gaily boasts the Diesel. In and out he creeps about like a big black weasel. When he pulls the wrong trucks out, pop goes the Diesel. "Grrr," he growled, and scuttling away, sulked in the shed. Dirty work. When Duck returned and heard the truck singing, he was horrified. "Shut up," he ordered, and bumped them hard. "I'm sorry our trucks were rude to you, Diesel," he said. Diesel was furious. "It's all your fault. You made them laugh at me," he complained. "Nonsense," said Henry. "Duck would never do that. We engines have our differences, but we never talk about them to trucks. That would be disgraceful," said Gordon. "Disgusting," put in James. "Despicable," finished Henry. Diesel hated Duck. He wanted him to be sent away, so he made a plan. Next day he spoke to the trucks. "I see you like jokes," he said in his oily voice. "You made a good joke about me yesterday. I laughed and laughed. Duck told me one about Gordon. I'll whisper it. Don't tell Gordon I told you." And he sniggered away. "Ha ha ha ha!" guffawed the trucks.
Gordon will be cross with Duck when he knows. Let's tell him and pay Duck out for bumping us.
Diesel went to all the sidings, and in each he told different stories. He said Duck had told them to him. This was untrue, but the trucks didn't know. They laughed rudely at the engines as they went by, and soon Gordon, Henry, and James found out why. "Disgraceful," said Gordon. "Disgusting," said James. "Despicable," said Henry. "We cannot allow it." They consulted together. "Yes," they said, "he did it to us. We'll do it to him, and see how he likes it." Duck was tired out. The trucks had been cheeky and troublesome. He had had hard work to make them behave. He wanted a rest in the shed. "Shoosh! Keep out!" The 3 engines barred his way, and Diesel lurked behind. "Stop fooling," said Duck. "I'm tired." "So are we," hissed the engines. "We are tired of you. We like Diesel. We don't like you. You tell tales about us to trucks. I don't. You do. I don't. You do." The Fat Controller came to stop the noise. "Duck called me a galloping sausage," spluttered Gordon. "Rusty red scrap iron," hissed James. "I'm old square wheels," fumed Henry. "Well, Duck," Duck considered. "I only wish, sir," he said gravely, "that I'd thought of those names myself. If the dome fits—" The Fat Controller coughed. "He made trucks laugh at us," accused the engines. The Fat Controller recovered. "Did you, Duck?" "Certainly not, sir. No steam engine would be as mean as that." "Now, Diesel, you heard what Duck said." "I can't understand it, sir. To think the Duck of all engines. I'm dreadfully grieved, sir, but know nothing." "I see." Diesel squirmed and hoped he didn't. "I'm sorry, Duck," the Fat Controller went on, "but you must go to Edward's station for a while. I know he will be glad to see you." "Beg pardon, sir, do you mean now?" "Yes, please." "As you wish, sir." Duck trundled sadly away, while Diesel smirked with triumph in the darkness. A close shave. So Duck came to Edward's station. "It's not fair," he complained. "Diesel has made the Fat Controller and all the engines think I'm horrid." Edward smiled. "I know you aren't," he said, "and so does the Fat Controller. You wait and see." Duck felt happier with Edward. He helped him with his trucks and coaches, and sometimes helped foreign engines by pushing their trains up the hill. But Gordon, Henry, and James never spoke to him at all. One day he pushed behind a goods train and helped it to the top. "Beep, beep, goodbye," he called, and rolled gently over the crossing to the other line. Duck loved coasting down the hill, running easily with the wind whistling past. He hummed a little tune. "Beep, beep, beep. That sounds like a guard's whistle," he thought, "but we haven't a guard." His driver heard it too and looked back. "Hurry, Duck, hurry," he called urgently. "There's been a breakaway. Some trucks are chasing us." There were 20 heavily loaded trucks. "Hurrah! Hurrah! Hurrah!" they laughed. "We've broken away! We've broken away! We've broken away!" Before the signalman could change the points, they followed Duck onto the down line. "Chase him! Bump him! Throw him off the rails!" they yelled, and hurtled after Duck, bumping and swaying with ever-increasing speed. The guard saved Duck. Though the trucks had knocked him off his van, he got up and ran behind, blowing his whistle to attract the driver's attention. "Now what?" asked the fireman. "As fast as you can," said the driver grimly. "Then they'll catch us gradually." They raced through Edward's station, whistling furiously, but the trucks caught them with a shuddering jar. The fireman climbed back, and the van brakes came on with a scream. braking carefully. The driver was gaining control. "Another mile and we'll do it," he said. They swept round a bend. "Oh, glory! Look at that!" A passenger train was just pulling out on their line from the station ahead. The driver leapt to his reverser. "Hard over, full steam, whistle. It's up to you now, Duck," he said. Duck put every ounce of weight and steam against the trucks. They felt his strength. "On, on!" they yelled, but Duck was holding them now. "I must stop them, I must." The station came nearer and nearer. The last coach cleared the platform. "It's too late!" Duck groaned and shut his eyes. He felt a sudden swerve and slid, shuddering and groaning, along a siding. A barber had set up shop in a wooden shed in the yard. He was shaving a customer. There was a sliding, groaning crash, and part of the wall caved in. The customer jumped nervously, but the barber held him down. "It is only an engine," he said calmly, and went on lathering. "Beg pardon, sir," gasped Duck. "Excuse my intrusion." "No, I won't," said the barber crossly. "You frightened me customers and spoilt me new paint. I'll teach you." And he lathered Duck's face all over. Poor Duck. They were pulling the trucks away when the fat controller arrived. The barber was telling the workmen what he thought. "I do not like engines popping through my walls," he fumed. "They disturb my customers." "I appreciate your feelings," said the fat controller, "and will gladly repair the damage, but you must know that this engine and his crew have prevented a serious accident. You and many others might have been badly hurt." The fat controller paused impressively. "It was a very close shave," he said. "Oh," said the barber. "Oh, excuse me." He ran into his shop, fetched a basin of water, and washed Duck's face. "I'm sorry, Duck," he said. "I didn't know you were being a brave engine." "That's all right, sir," said Duck. "I didn't know that either." "You were very brave indeed," said the fat controller kindly. "I am proud of you. I shall tell City of Truro about you next time he comes." "Oh, sir." Duck felt happier than he had been for weeks. "And now," said the fat controller, "when you are mended, you are coming home." "Home, sir? Do you mean the yard?" "Of course. But, sir, they don't like me. They like Diesel." "Not now," the fat controller smiled. "I never believed Diesel. After you went, he told lies about Henry, so I sent him packing. The engines are sorry and want you back." So, when a few days later he came home shining with new paint, there was a really rousing welcome for Duck, the Great Western Engine. That was The Railway Series, Volume 1 by the Reverend W. Awdry, read by Bruce Alexander. Produced by David Smith at Wardour Studios. With post-production by Tom Berry, Will Chapman and Lucy Rowe. Casting by Rebecca Fortain. An audio book from Far Shore, an imprint of HarperCollins. Based on the Railway Series by the Reverend W. Awdry. Copyright 2022, Gullane Thomas Limited. Copyright 2023, Gullane Thomas Limited. Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends and Thomas and Friends are trademarks of Gullane Thomas Limited. Production copyright 2022 by HarperCollins Publishers. Production copyright 2023 by HarperCollins Publishers. All rights reserved. Thank you for listening.